Now it's time to work on two-step equations. When I have a two-step equation such as this, the first thing I want to do or I think about is combining like terms. I know that 2 is like 6, so I'm going to do that part of my balance first. So now I am left with 4 equals a over 4. And as we saw in the last video, the easiest way to do this is to do a cross multiply, and I wind up with a being equal to 16. Number 2, I'm going to find that balance. I want to add 6 to both sides so that I can get rid of it. That leaves me with 1. Now I have x over 4 equal to 1. In order to take care of this, I need to cross multiply, and I get x equal to 4. Number 3, balance, add 7 to both sides. This cancels out, and this cancels out also, but on this side I'm going to write a 0. Here I'm going to bring down my 9 over x. Now I need to divide so I can get rid of that 9. Well, 0 divided by any number is still equal to 0. So my answer is x equals 0. Here I'm going to put my balance, subtract 4 from both sides. I get n over 5 is equal to negative 4. Or I can call it negative 4 over 1 so that I can cross multiply, giving me n is equal to negative 20. Number 5, balance, add 5 to both sides. When we do two-step equations, it's always easier to look to see if you can do addition and subtraction first. R over 20. Again, that's the same as saying 1 over 1, so I'm going to cross multiply, and I get r equal to 20. Now I have a case of division, so I'm going to multiply this entire side by 6 so I can cross that out. Remember, I need to balance, so I'm going to multiply this side by 6. That gives me negative 6 is equal to 5 plus x, not 5. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, giving me x is equal to negative 11. I want to be able to move this up a little bit. I'm going to erase some of that work. Remember, at any point, you can pause the videos so that you can watch step by step how to do these equations. Okay, well, let's get to number 7 now. Number 7, again, we have a case where we have division, which means that in order to do the inverse operation, we need to multiply. So if I multiply this side by 3, it cancels, but I also have to multiply this side by 3. That gives me v plus 9 equals to 8 times 3, which is 24. I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides, giving me v is equal to 15. And number 8. There's a few ways to approach this. The first thing you may want to think about is doing distribution, and that's fine. That will give you 2n plus 10 equals negative 2. I will subtract 10 from both sides. That will give me 2n equals negative 12. And I will divide both sides by 2, giving me n equals negative 6. Now remember, I said there was a second way that we could solve this. So I'm going to go ahead and show you here. If I decide I do not want to distribute first, I can do division first. And the only reason I can do division first is because these parentheses right here tell me that I am multiplying 2 by everything, which means that my inverse is to divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 cancels, so I am left with n plus 5. Remember, I did a division on this side. I must do division on this side. So if I divide by 2 over here, I'm dividing by 2 on the other side, giving me an answer of -1. Now I'm going to take 5 away from both sides because I still must balance, and my answer is n equals -6. So either way that you decide you want to perform this operation is fine. And here we are with number 9. Number 9, first step, I want to make sure that I go ahead and add. Since this is addition, I am going to be subtracting that 1 from both sides. I'm going to balance. This is going to cancel. This gives me -9x equal to -81. I'm going to divide both sides now by that -9, giving me x is equal to 9. Yes, positive 9. Number 10, I'm going to draw my balance. I want to take care of that 10 first. I'm going to add it to both sides. This side cancels, leaving me with a positive 4 over here. 4 is equal to n over 2. I'm going to put my 1 here so that I can cross multiply. N is equal to 8. Number 11, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Here it cancels, leaving me with a v over 4 equal to -4. I'm going to cross multiply so that I wind up with v being equal to -16. Number 12. In this case, I'm going to balance, as always, and I'm looking at this side and I say that this is multiplication. But it looks like it's going to get complicated if I start to multiply, if I start to do my distribution first. So instead of doing distribution first, I decide I'm going to do division first. If I have a -12 outside, which means it's multiplying, in order to get rid of it, I need to divide by -12. If I divide one side by -12, I must divide the other side by -12. That leaves me x plus 5. You can leave the parentheses if you want. I just know that I can get rid of them. X plus 5 is equal to -12. That's because 144 divided by -12 is -12. Now I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, and my answer is x is equal to -17. And if you've noticed, sometimes when I have the x on this side and the number on this side, I can just as easily switch that around, put my variable on the left and my answer on the right, my solution. Number 13. I'm going to add 5 to both, I'm sorry, you're right, good listening. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, cancel, leaving me with -4m equal to -20. I'm going to divide both sides by -4, leaving me with m is equal to +5. Number 14. Draw my balance. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. Cancels. -6v is equal to 94. Oops. No, it's not. It's 2 negatives, which means that it is a bigger negative. So it's -114. Sorry. I'm going to divide both sides by -6. And that is going to give me v is equal to +19. Continuing with number 15, I'm going to balance. To put a balance, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. This side cancels, leaving me 8n is equal to 24. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 8, giving me n is equal to 3. Number 16, balance, add 13 to both sides. You can cross that on this side. 9x is equal to 103, negative 103 and 13 is 90, negative 90, sorry about that. Going to divide both sides by negative 9. My answer then is x is equal to 10. Number 17, again, you know that I like this method where I do cross multiplication. And there's nothing down there, so I can just pretend or imagine that it's a 1. That gives me n plus 5 is equal to negative 16 times negative 1 gives me a positive 16. So now I can subtract 5 from both sides, leaving my n alone, which gives me n is equal to 11. Number 18, I'm going to add 10 to both sides. As soon as I add 10 over here, this cancels to 0, leaving me a 7m. And negative 10 and positive 10 is also 0. When I divide both sides by 7, I get m is equal to 0. Number 19, I'm going to divide by 10. That's going to leave me with a negative 1 is equal to k minus 9. I can get rid of those parentheses. In this case, for space, I'm just leaving them, giving me k is equal to 8. And number 20, somehow that little thing got cut out, sorry. I'm going to first add 1 to both sides, giving me a negative 1 on this side, negative 1 being equal to m over 9. I'm going to cross multiply, pretending that there's a little 1 over here. And that's going to give me m is equal to negative 9. Yes, we're finally up to the last 4 questions. I'm going to go fast through these because you now know what you are doing. So I'm not going to talk through each step. I'm just going to do it, and you should know what you're doing at this point. N equals 0. Anytime 0 is divided by a number, it equals 0. Here, I can either do my distribution or my division first. I'm going to do my division first. I'm going to divide this side by 7, divide this side by 7. 9 plus k equals 12. I'm going to subtract 9. K equals 3. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Leaves me a negative 3. B over negative 4 equals negative 3. Again, I'm going to just imagine that there's a little 1 there. So I can do my cross multiplication. B times 1 gives me B. And negative 4 times negative 3, that gives me a positive 12. Negative times negative is a positive. And my last question, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 9. If I divide by a negative, that's going to give me a positive. So that's 27. 243 divided by 9 is 27. It's equal to 10 plus x. I'm going to take 10 away from each side, balance, and x is equal to 17. And that is two-step equations. Please come to Extra Help if you still don't understand these.